Okay, we're going to attempt to show you how we get this boot on here as far as the bigger side of it. The inside is real easy. You do have to tighten it up good and snug. Real important that you do that, and you want to tighten it. Basically, you want to tighten the clamp as much as you can without breaking it. And we went over the orientation of that and everything before. This side's a little different than the passenger in the fact that this is driver's side, steering side. You can't really put your clamp quite at the top, your outside clamp, but you can put it out of harm's way. So we're going to use the one-man process with the clamps. And before I begin, I'm just going to tell you that I've only done this literally like twice, but it gives you a good idea of what it's like. It's not using the clamps. There is another video about it elsewhere, but it's almost like it's not a full video, and I think he's had some experience doing it. But just for the average Joe who's doing it for the first time, yes, it will help, but it won't be like, bam, it's on. So let's go ahead and stop this babbling and get to putting that on, and hopefully you're at a good enough angle that you can see some of the action and how it gets put on. So let's grab our clamp. Okay. And you of course put this on ahead of time, but you can put it on afterward. Like, you just got to take it apart to do that. So if you forgot to put it on, it's not like you can't. And you want to make sure it's already kind of lined up with where it's going to a certain extent. Otherwise, if it's on the outside of the clamp, you're not going to get it in. And let's just line this clamp up. Okay, squish it in there pretty good. Okay. And the trick is to make sure you got it on everywhere before you start tightening it up. And the two clamps will help as far as that's concerned, as far as not having the second person. If you got a second person, then great. One of the biggest parts to this process is making sure you're all on before you start tightening up clamps. Tightening up your and that you're all on, and your metal clamping ring is in the groove where it should be. There you go. Okay, I got my bottom on. Okay. So I'm just going to take this clamp and I'm going to grab another spot here where I can hold it on. We don't have it. Well, we sort of have it. Ah. Okay. Okay, let's get that there. Okay. Alright, let's get a partial here. That's there. Let's see if we manage to do that without sticking the clamp so that we can't get to it, which can be an issue. Alright, there you go. Okay. Undoubtedly part of this you're not able to see. It's all about going around and making sure you're all in everywhere, so that once you start to tighten it down, it's not gonna oh. Sometimes you lose your grip and you have to grab it again. Okay, so it gets kind of tricky because I knew I felt it come out in one section. So you got to work your way around, and you'll probably slip a few times, and still a pain. In my opinion, it makes it more doable for one person, but it's not a cure-all as far as, you know, oh, it makes it slick. It certainly makes it easier. That much is true. But does it make it completely, you know, take all the pain in the butt out of it? No. It doesn't. You'll still fight with it some, and okay. And the two-person method works almost this. Well, it's better, but you don't always have two people, and you know, this method, after you get into it and you've used it a few times, it may make work out, you know. So it may work out quite well at that point. Yep, I bet it came off the bottom. Now it's done. Just kidding. Hopefully we can get it before we run out of video time. Yeah. Alright, again, see if we can get it squashed in there, right? Okay. Let's see what we can do now that we've got that like that. Okay. Yeah. Nice, 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 nice. All right. Get in there. That holds that to that. That's in there like that. Put that in there like that. Oh, come on, baby. Get over there. Ooh. It's in there like that. At first you use a regular nut that they... I just felt that slip. That they give you when you first get it, because the lock will not she just freaking slipped. You wanky thing. Yeah. It's a pain in the rumpus. It keeps doing that, and you've got to Okay. Spin that down just a little like that to make it so that the ring has a little more tension on it before you tension it. See if I can't help to sneak it into position that way. And then you just keep working it around, tightening it up and getting it into position. Okay, that's in more than it was before. And you just pinch this by hand at first. And you can get a little bit of tension on there. Okay, that just slipped. The trick is to get it all the way on and then pinch that tension by hand the rest of the way, and then tighten up that nut. But first you've got to get it on all the way around like so. Okay, and then you use your third hand, and that's where the problem comes in. But that's what your clamps are supposed to do. They're supposed to be your third hand, and they do help quite a bit, but they don't completely eliminate the issue of not having enough hands. But eventually one person can get it if you are working alone, and there we go. And the weight of that wrench will actually help. The weight of that ratchet will actually somewhat hold that in place so that you can tighten down on it some more. And you'll have to adjust it as you go, and it may even get too short for the clamp. Okay. Now we're going to take one of these clamps off. Okay. All right. Now, old knees. I'm gonna go get another socket. See if I have a deep well, or maybe I'll use a wrench. Alright, let's see if you're still recording here, if you're still here. Yeah, you are. Okay. So the process does work. It's just not quite as slick as you'd like it to be, but it does work. In the interest of you being able to see it, I just got a pair of pliers, because it doesn't take much to hold the nut, and by the time I find that deep well in and I'm not sure it's long enough even in that in another driver size, unfortunately my somewhat misorganized shop, if you can call it that, it's called a shed, it's not there. It's in there somewhere, and it may not actually be long enough anyway, so rather than waste time doing that. But that's real-time processing. Of course, I'm probably going to edit some of that out, but it does take a little bit of time to do it, and after you've done it a few times, I'm sure it gets faster, but it's not perfect. but it's perfectly good. The guy that came up with that, he actually did a video on Rockwell off-road, showing it a while back. So anyways, you know, it's a good trick. It works. It just doesn't work super slick. It works good, in my opinion. And it could work super slick after you know, like you've done it 10 times. I mean, I've literally done it 3 times. That's fairly tight. I don't know how the angle of the camber is. That's fairly tight, and everything is on where it should be. It's not completely tightened up yet. I tighten them up as much as I can. And on this side I can't put it on the very top because the way that the arm goes over it interferes with it. I tighten them up basically as much as you can without breaking them. I'm using hand tools not just because I don't have a drill out here or mini little electric impact gun to work with. It's because it is pretty easy, as he said, to snap it off if you're going and you're not paying attention, or even if you are, because you can feel the torque better on regular. But basically, you can almost close that gap completely up. Just wanted to show you that. So that's that. Hopefully, you got somewhat of an idea of how that works, and the reality of how it works, and that it's not just like boom, it's done. Okay, real quick, I wanted to just point out, now that we got the clamp completely tightened down, there's 2 nuts on there. Both nuts are on it. One is got a nylon insert in it. When you're putting it together, you got to use the regular one because you'll never be able to tighten it up with a nylon insert and get everything to hold together while you're trying to tighten it up. And then I put a little little piece of rubber tubing on the outside. You really don't have to do that. I really do suggest you do something like that on the inside, so and you'll notice that I cut the screw down, the machine screw down to size. And on the inside you absolutely positively need to do that, and you kind of want something in there so that if the boot rubber's up against it, it won't rip it. As I showed in an earlier video. I checked that all out. When I moved my steering around, that's not in the way anywhere. I couldn't put it up underneath here really because it's too tall for that, with the steering arm in the way. But right now the boot guard's not on. I've mentioned that also in another video. If your Deuce doesn't have its original boot guards, and you don't have something else, get some of those original boot guards or get some aftermarket ones. You really should have those on there, even just the factory forward facing ones. Otherwise you're just asking for something to hit it at some point. Maybe if you're just running parades, yeah, I guess you don't have to worry about it. But even on the road, something could come up, hit it. They were there for a reason. So I suggest that you have them. Just want to point out that one little last thing with the double nut and everything, because you don't want to put that all together and then have it loosen up and come off. And as you see from the orientation of how tight that is, it's pretty darn tight. I mean, it almost can't be tightened much more than that. And you got to get them as tight as they can be without breaking the clamp.